In Element 2 of the COR audit protocol, auditors are asked to score an organization's hazard assessment based on an inventory of jobs and positions, task inventory, whether health and safety hazards are identified for every task, and if those hazards have been prioritized. Please note that inspections are not hazard assessments, but they drive continuous improvement and a way for a company to check if its hazard assessments and hazard control measures are truly working. The key to being successful is to understand what is expected in the formal hazard assessment. What are the jobs and positions listed on a company's organizational chart, job inventory document, or staff listings? To assess all hazards, the company needs to have a comprehensive list of jobs and positions in the company compared to the formal hazard assessments. Example, question 2.1, have all jobs or positions been identified for the formal hazard assessment process? The organizational chart indicated a total of 8 jobs or positions, and only 6 of these jobs or positions were accounted for in the formal hazard assessment. Sampling is not acceptable for question 2.1. Auditors enter 75% into the AuditSoft tool in question 2.1, which is then converted to a score of 8 points. The tasks that workers are doing in those positions may create possible health and safety hazards. All the possible tasks carried out within the company operation should be identified and listed in the task inventory. Each task can then be broken down into several steps to capture all possible hazards. It is important to realize that more than one position may perform the same or similar tasks as another position. That is why the hazard assessment process needs to include a comprehensive list of positions with a list of all possible tasks. Example, question 2.2 has the employer compiled a list of tasks associated with each job or position. 8 jobs or positions are indicated in the formal hazard assessment, and 6 of these jobs or positions have their tasks identified. Sampling is not acceptable for question 2.2. A score of 6 out of 8 gives 75%, but must be multiplied by the percentage entered in 2.1. In this case, that's 75% times 75%, which equals 56%. Auditors would enter 56% into the AuditSoft tool in question 2.2, which is then converted to a score of 11 points. The next step is to identify both the health and safety hazards of the tasks and measure the risks. Example, question 2.3a, are health hazards identified for the tasks associated with each job? 6 jobs or positions have their tasks identified, 10 tasks sampled, and all 10 tasks have health hazards identified. 10 of 10 equals 100% multiplied by the percentage entered in 2.2. Auditors enter 56% into the AuditSoft tool in question 2.3a, which is converted to a score of 6 points. Example, question 2.3b, are safety hazards identified for the tasks associated with each job? 6 jobs or positions have their tasks identified, 10 tasks sampled, and all 10 tasks have safety hazards identified. 10 of 10 equals 100% multiplied by the percentage entered in 2.2. Auditors enter 56% into the AuditSoft tool in question 2.3b, which is converted to a score of 6 points. Each hazard should be risk rated individually. Hazards should not be grouped together to assign an overall risk rating. To determine the risk for each hazard, you need to consider a combination of factors like severity, frequency, or probability, as some hazards pose a greater risk than others. By evaluating the risk of the hazard, you can prioritize which hazards to address first. There are various ways to rank hazards and prioritize their controls. The important thing is to be consistent and use the same ranking system when determining the risk. Example, question 2.4, have the identified health and safety hazards been evaluated according to risk? 35 of 35 health and safety hazards, 35 hazards sampled, have been individually assessed for risk to determine priority using a consistent approach of at least 2 factors, example, severity and likelihood. 35 of 35 equals 100% multiplied by the percentage entered in 2.3. Auditors would enter 56% into the AuditSoft tool in question 2.4, which is converted to a score of 6 points. To recap, this is how the auditor would enter the data into the AuditSoft tool and how the scores would be calculated. The next step is to develop the controls to mitigate the hazards. Example, question 3.1, have controls been identified for the hazards listed in the formal hazard assessments? 35 health and safety hazards were identified in the formal hazard assessments and all had their controls listed. 35 of 35 equals 100% multiplied by the percentage entered in 2.3. The auditors would enter 56% into the AuditSoft tool in question 3.1, which is converted to a score of 6 points.